Welcome back to 6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. We begin today in Africa, where the breakaway nation of Somaliland hopes that the coming Trump presidency will help cement their place as an internationally recognized nation. From BBC, quote, many people in Somaliland are convinced that the United States, under the incoming president Donald Trump, is poised to become the world's first country to recognize the self-declared republic. The territory declared independence 33 years ago after Somalia descended into civil war, and in many ways has functioned as a de facto nation state ever since. Quote, Donald is our savior. He is a wise and practical man. God bless America, says university student Ashia Ismaili, whose voice trembles with delight at the prospect. She is speaking to me from Hargeisa, Somaliland's capital, a city 850 kilometers north of Mogadishu, the seat of the Somali government, end quote. We next turn to North America, where Canada is game planning how to respond to potential U.S. tariffs under President Trump. From Reuters, quote, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has promised to impose a 25% tariff on imports from Canada, which economists say would trigger a deep recession. Canada sends 75% of all exported goods and services to the United States. On Sunday, Foreign Minister Mylene Joly said Canada was not ruling out curbing energy exports to the United States, but Daniel Smith, the premier of the oil-producing Alberta, predicted that there would be a national unity crisis if Ottawa tried to shut off crude exports. Quote, we don't stand for that, Smith said on Monday after meeting Trump in Florida. Quote, I can't predict what Albertans would do, end quote. Across the Pacific in South Korea, where the impeached president has finally been arrested after being protected in his residency for weeks. From BBC, Yoon Suk Yeol has become South Korea's first sitting president to be arrested after investigators scaled barricades and cut through barbed wire to take him into custody. Yoon, 64, is being investigated on charges of the insurrection for a failed martial law order on the 3rd of December that plunged the country into turmoil. He has also been impeached by Parliament and suspended, but will only be removed from office if the Constitutional Court upholds the impeachment. However, Yoon's dramatic arrest on Wednesday brings to an end week-long standoff between investigators and his presidential security team, end quote. Next, we travel to the south to Australia, where there are powerful signs coming from their job market. Quote from BBC, figures from the Australian Bureau of Statistics showed net employment jumped 56,300 in December from November, when it increased by a downwardly revised 28,200. That was well above the market forecast for a rise of 15,000. Annual jobs growth accelerated at a brisk 3.1%. The jobless rate rose 4% from 3.9%, matching market expectations. The participating rate edged up to a record high of 67.1 from 67%. Overall, the data suggests that there's a strength in the labor market demand, and that it has been met by a rapid rise in the labor force, a sign of a healthy job market, end quote. Meanwhile, in Europe, where Sweden is crafting a new law that would allow them to revoke the citizenship status of non-natural born Swedes. From BBC, quote, Sweden's political parties have agreed that dual citizens who commit crimes that threaten national security should lose their citizenship. A cross-party committee recommended that the change could be applied to anyone who has used bribes or false information to attain their citizenship, and also if they have committed crimes that were a threat to the state or came under the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. The proposals reached today will not give us the possibility to take back Sweden's citizenship from gang leaders and criminal networks sitting abroad, directing shootings or bombings and murders on Sweden's streets, Stormer told Swedish radio, end quote. And we finish today in South America, where rural communities have begun to rely more on the labor of their women to keep up with the global acai demand. From Reuters, quote, in 2021, almost half of the rural credit from a federal program overseen by Amatar that supports smaller household farmers benefited female producers, it said. The initial investment in the project, like the acai in Ala da Jasara, is around 20,000 reales or $3,300, said Lucivol Saman Chavez, an agronomist at Emitar. Quote, after that, the land is financially self-sustaining, he said. More widely, acai berries production in Brazil grew 15% between 2020 and 2023, according to government statistics. And if you want to check out any of these stories, you can find all the links to all the different stories in the description below that like and subscribe button. Also down there, you can find the link to the podcast on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Podvine. And if you want to come back for the normal podcast on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it is 10 to 30 minutes of U.S.-focused news. And of course, you can also find the Twitter handle down there at Your Daily Flip, where I post all the links to all the different videos when they come out. So, with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe, don't die.